You had mentioned before you were talking a little bit about some of the raw materials of mead making when you were talking about fruit, you're talking about honey. Can you talk to people about what you can expect? Because we're kind of talking through that piloting lens of the expression of those raw materials pre and post ferment. Because in the brewing world, I can take my base malt and I can pop it in my mouth and chew it, and then I can brew a beer with it. And there can be a difference between what I am tasting from the malted product into the finished beer. Is there a similarity on the mead side when you're talking about honey, when you're talking about fruit?
Yeah, yeah. And what you're talking about was explained to me by Dan McConnell early on as the difference between, I mean, as being embodied by the difference between aroma and bouquet. And
Mm,
in the wine and the mead world, aroma is the smell of the ingredients, and bouquet is what you get out of those aromas after the yeast is done with its process. And they're vastly different.
hmm
They shouldn't be diametrically opposed. They should be, I say, vastly different. They can be different by degree, but that's what you're talking about, and that's very true in mead, right? It's not going to be the same if what people wanted was cherries and alcohol. You can just take vodka and infuse the cherries in there and add the sugar, and there you go. There it
Yeah.
is. And then if you want to add water to it or carbonate it, you could do that. But that's really not the goal. The goal is to create a complex and delicious beverage that reflects all of the things that go into it. And one of the things that goes into it is the fermentation process.
Mhm.
To me, I mean, I'm gonna say something right now that maybe I hope I don't offend people, but it is a reality, which is I don't understand why non-alcoholic beverages that don't involve a fermentation process are as expensive as they are, because the fermentation process is the expensive part. That's the part that takes all the labor. That's the part that takes all the time, the really specialized equipment. And if man, I wish I could avoid that step and still make as much money as I can.
Sure.
As I, well, we don't make as much money as we do because we do that fermentation step.
Sure.
So, um, but anyways, yeah, that's the that really is as well one of the joys of what we as fermenters do is that we get to um, well, I'll take you back to my TV career, right? I worked in
Sure.
TV for eons. You make a TV program, and I did a lot of basketball and pro sports. I did a lot of and I did a lot of educational training materials as well. But when you get done with it, it's gone. It's just completely gone. It's been consumed by the viewer, and you have no real record of it unless somebody comes and says, "Yeah, by the way, I thought your coverage was great tonight." Um, but as fermentation professionals, there it is. It's sitting there in the bottle. We can pour it into a glass. We can taste it for a long time. We know that our consumers are doing the same thing, and frankly, a lot of them, way more of them, are inclined to say, "Hey, I really like this," or for that matter, I didn't, which is probably even more valuable feedback than I loved it.
Mhm.
So that's a magnificent thing. I mean, that is I mean, it's true as well, but for like doing things at the orchard, I can always at the end of the day look back, and whether I'm mowing the lawn or planting trees, I can look back and say, oh, there's all the lawn that I mowed, or there's the however many trees that I planted, or how much fruit we picked and washed and got in the freezer.
Mhm.
That's the joy of it. The the understanding, though, I mean, I'm kind of shading back to your question now.
You good?
Working on that understanding of what your process does to the things that you're working with, that's that's the both the joy and the bane of mead making, because unlike brewers and winemakers, where people have spent and companies have spent millions of dollars figuring out what happens between A and B, and then publishing that information, whether you have to pay for it or not, there isn't any of that information for mead. So we're making it ourselves. And that's simultaneously joyous and excruciating.